We live in a remarkable age. I'm old enough to remember when the first handheld calculators were introduced in the early 70s and the first mobile phones in the mid-80s. These devices were heavy, bulky and very expensive. I grew up learning to use log tables, slide rules, and the only phones available had landlines. I bought this watch at the beginning of 2019 in a Bangkok shopping mall. It cost me around $18. It can be used as a mobile phone, it has a calculator feature, and it also has many other features. If you'd like to know what you get for your money when you buy this kind of watch, this video will attempt to explain. Firstly, let's take a look at the physical attributes of the watch. And the main part of the watch is about 50mm long by about 40mm wide, and the thickness is about 12mm. The weight is 50 grams. The overall length of the strap is 260mm, and the fastening action is quite strange. It doesn't fasten like a normal watch. You have to put this end of the strap through this hole, adjust it to your wrist size, and then push this metal popper through one of the holes in the strap. It's not too bad, and you do get used to it after a while. Inside the watch are slots for a SIM card and a micro SD card up to 32 gig, and also the battery, which is rated at 380 milliamp hours. The manufacturer claims that it can be used on standby for more than 7 days, and it can actually be used for more than 2 days. Obviously, this depends on how much you actually use the phone. Externally, there's not a great deal. There's a USB port here through which you charge the battery. That has a small plastic cover, an on-off switch. This little hole here is the microphone. On the back there's a small loudspeaker, and on the front there's a 0.3 megapixel camera, which is used for still photos and video. Although the watch has many features, I only bought it for one reason. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and although she's with us most of the time, there are occasions now when she goes off on her own. She might go off to a tutoring lesson, and last week I took her to an English competition in another province. And when she's not with me, I want some way of being able to contact her, or allowing her to contact me if she needs to. And her mother considers that she's a bit too young to have a mobile phone, so this seemed the next best alternative. And as a phone, it actually works very well. There's an address book in the phone, so I've just put in mine and my wife's phone numbers, so she can contact us whenever she needs to, and we can contact her. And whenever she uses it, I can hear her clearly and she can hear me clearly. So in that respect, it's doing everything that I wanted it to do. Given that I bought the watch for its phone capabilities, the other features are just a bonus, and they're accessed through the touchscreen, which actually works remarkably well. Even with my iPhone, sometimes the touchscreen doesn't work very well, but with this I've never had any problems. The display is just 1.54 inches and the resolution is 240 by 240 pixels. So what I'll do now, I'll just go through a list of the features. Continuing with the phone capability, you can send and receive SMS messages, and there's a phone contact list and a call history. With the camera, you can record still images or record video, and there's an image viewer and a video player to view these on. There's also an audio player. There's a pedometer, so you can count the number of steps you take. There's an alarm clock, a web browser, although browsing the web using a 240 by 240 display is going to be quite restrictive. There's a sleep quality monitor. I haven't used this, but apparently it can detect movement while you're sleeping, and from that information it can determine the quality of your sleep. There's also a sedentary reminder. If you're sitting for too long, it will remind you of this and tell you to get up and go and take a walk. This is something else I haven't used. There's also an anti-lost feature, so if you lose the watch, you can apparently locate it with another device, something else I haven't used. A file viewer, so you can view the files on your SD card. You can change various settings. and there's also a calculator and a calendar. There are Facebook and Twitter apps on the phone, and there is a Bluetooth connection with which you can connect and sync with your Android or iOS smartphone. Because this watch was so cheap, and due to the fact it was made in China, I had very low expectations when I bought it. I wasn't expecting it to last very long. I thought it would either break or the battery would no longer take a charge. But after 7 months, it's still going strong. I still haven't used a lot of the features. That's because I only bought it so I had a way to contact my daughter when she wasn't around. So I just used the phone feature. But some are quite useful. And one I should look into more is the anti-lost feature. So if my daughter went missing for some reason while wearing the watch, I would be able to track her down. The watch doesn't appear to be branded. I assume they're just mass produced in a big factory somewhere in China and then distributed through various channels. I bought mine in a large shopping mall in Bangkok, but if there's nowhere near you that sells this type of thing, they're quite easily available online through websites such as AliExpress, and the online price is cheaper than the $18 that I paid. If you're running a business or doing serious online work, I would probably suggest buying something a bit more expensive and a bit more reliable. However, for what I use it for, that's just a cheap way of being able to contact my daughter when she's not around. It works very well, and I would have no hesitation in recommending such a watch.